Okay, so now we've started fretting. So I'm just going to take my earbuds out. I sort of forgot to put the camera on for the first part. But I'm going to show you how I do this without the fret nibber and without a professional fret bender. My fret bender is this. The instructions were taken from a Norwegian guitar forum, and it works beautifully. They are 2 ball bearings screwed through a piece of wood with a washer between, so that the fret will slide, and they are positioned now for a 7/25" radius. So I put the fret through here and up there, push it through, and on the other side there's a 7/25" radius. So, and I mounted this just so I can put it on a board or a bench and then press it through. Normally when I do 16" I don't even bend my frets, but now since the fingerboard is bound, we don't want the edges of the fret to sort of stick up because we won't have any tangs going into the fret slots. And as I mentioned, I don't have a fret nibber to remove the tang, nor do I have any of the other fancy special pliers or things like that. I don't reduce the tang in any way. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Now I don't make all the frets beforehand. I make them one by one while one is sitting in these fret pliers. These are not the StewMac ones, unfortunately. These are a cheaper set bought on eBay. The StewMac ones, unfortunately, are a bit expensive for me at this point. But I'm sure they're a good investment, since these are pretty flimsy and will tend to sort of veer off if you don't position it perfectly. So what I did on the 5th fret there was just to line it up so that the curvature, this being approximately 7 inches, probably less now or more now, lines up. I'm gonna cut it pretty straight on, and I'm just gonna mark it and then cut it so that I'm cutting through. Can you see that? So I'm cutting through the tang and the top at the top of the crown of the fret will be the last thing to go. And that is because if you cut it sideways, if you cut it this way, it can sort of turn to one side like that way, and you will have a problem getting it in. And then I take my fret pliers. These are pliers that I ground flat myself to cut along the frets. I cut the tang under the crown of the fret. I do it in small increments so that I'm able to get it off. I'm gonna take about 2 nibs off. If you've ever fretted, you know what I mean about nibs. 2 nib length of each side, so that the fret has room to expand under, within the binding. Now this doesn't look very elegant, neither is it, but we're going to file it off later. Now it's not very good. I should buy fret nibbers. I feel like they would seriously increase my productivity. So now the fret looks like this, but we still have sharp edges underneath the crown. So we're going to file those off. Now I have my file here. It's a pretty coarse file. It doesn't need to be fine, but you do need to make the underside of the crown completely flat. Okay, otherwise it'll sit on top of the binding. So, and I put the edge of the fret on top. I don't leave it outside. I put it in inside the block. Put one finger underneath, and I just file it. File it flush. And don't worry about what the edges of the fret crowning looks like, because that's going to be filed away anyway. I do the same on both sides. Sorry if the sound is terrible. So that's flat, making sure that the tang is nice and straight. And then I just place it somewhere near. I take my little wood sticks, my trusted wood sticks. One of them. Now, since I had to go inside and get the camera, the wood has sort of gelled a bit. I take some wood glue. Still, I'm using Tight Bond. And I've already made sure that the fret slot is nice and clean, because if it isn't, you're going to have a problem getting your fret all the way down, and it's going to make for a not so neat fret job. Just making sure the glue goes down there. There won't be any squeeze out. The glue tends to run inside the tang, sort of inside the fret slot. So no, you can't see this. I'm going to take this away, this off now, but I leave this on. I just move it along for next slot. So can you see this? There we go. I wipe the glue away. I take care to do this because I don't want glue on the fretboard between the frets, because we're not going to have a smooth surface to work on. Place it in, and I sort of try to center it so that I have equal amount of space from the tongs and out to the frets. And I push it in so that it's not seated, but it's in there. Take my pliers, fret pliers, fret pressing, caul, whatever you want to call it, and squeeze it in. And then now it's very nice and straight. Be sure to check both sides when you're doing this, because sometimes the fret will go in at an angle so that it looks straight on one side, but on the other side it's just mayhem. Gonna leave that there while I do the next ones. But I'm gonna fast forward this because there's no point in me spending hours and hours fretting. So that's how I fret. Alright, so now I've run out of fret wire, and I'm just going to show you how I use this. So we are going to put it in this way first to get some initial twist on the tip. Make sure you get it in the slots as so, and then push it through. Works very nicely. Now this is how all fret benders work, but this particular type with the ball bearings and stuff was an idea I got from a Norwegian guitar forum. There we go. Fret bent. I'm going to continue doing this, and alright, so we're almost done. We've gotten to this flat part now. Now, the whatever fret you're on, that's just on the heel, will cause you a bit of a problem if you use one of these. So what I do for that part is I go to the semi-flat, not the complete flat, but the semi-flat, and I really have to tilt the pliers, because this will want to tilt forward so that the bass follows the angle of the heel. But that's one fret. The fret after, you can go flat, and it's all flat. You can have the same problem if you have a heel here like we do. That one, that can affect your first fret, but it wasn't a problem here. So, almost done. Here we are, fretted. Pretty happy with this neck. It is wide here, very wide. We'll see how it becomes. Now remember to always flatten your neck before you start fretting, always. You cannot fix a crooked neck with the frets on.